Hello, everybody, and welcome again. Thank you for coming back. We have here today a very special guest. We have Norman Traversey in the house, and we are going to be discussing with Christopher James once again, talking about common law, and we're going to continue with part 3. So welcome, gentlemen, to the show today.
Thank you.
Great to see you, Amina.
Great to see you both
Great
as
to see
well.
you.
So, Christopher, let's do a quick recap. We started series 1 and 2, and we got into the birth certificate and the public courts, correct?
Correct, yes. The unlawful conversion that happened against all of us when we're born. It's the most horrific trespass that everybody simply needs to understand. That's the foundation for our solution worldwide right now to stop all of this corruption that's going on, all this lie surrounding COVID-19, etc.
Right. And today we are going to be discussing the Norman Traversey case. In case those of you who are unaware, we have been working on a case with Norman, myself, and I, and other people with a private prosecution to Justin Trudeau, and it's the first time ever that has been attempted. So we have been working really diligently at this, haven't we, Norman? And you have come across, some roadblocks and some doors closing, and certainly there's been some great individuals who've been wanting to work with you. And now that, I've been doing these series with Christopher about common law, it's just such a great opportunity to learn more about, how we can exercise our rights outside of the civil court system, and where we can take it where we have a potentially, definitely a greater chance at achieving what it is you want to achieve. So, Christopher, let's just get right into it with Norman. And first of all, the both of you are meeting here today, and you haven't talked prior to this meeting right now. So, why don't we just get a little bit acquainted to, what it is, Christopher, that you could do for Norman.
Well, let's thank you, Amina, and it's great to finally see you face-to-face as well, Norman.
Thank
Just
you.
so everybody knows, I reached out to Norman in October of last year. I sent the communications to Amina so that she can confirm that I'd reached out to him, and Norman was
Yes.
in the, I guess you'd say, in the throes, in the early stages of moving this process forward, God bless him, doing this private prosecution that Amina has been speaking to. So when you go to my website, lawyercalls.com, I've actually got there a huge page right specifically for Norman and all the incredible work that he's doing to bring this truth into the light. Okay, but what I'm also showing everybody is on the private prosecution side. Okay, there's actually two sides to it that we talked about last week, Amina. All right, and when you walk into a courthouse, there's the legal realm and there's the lawful realm. Okay, what has happened here, and no fault of Norman's fault, this is what happens to everybody, and that's why this is beautiful that we can talk about this now in real time, what has actually gone on and what is currently still going on with his case and also my case. So when you access a public courthouse, the people are supposed to access it on the lawful side. We've never been shown that. Okay, this is what I've said to everybody. We've never been taught these foundational truths that is the ultimate power, because we are the creators in this world. We created government, and it's called a public courthouse for a reason. And what has happened to Norman Traversey, God bless him for all the work that he has done here, what he has brought forward to everybody, aside from his courage to go after this corruption that's occurring in Ottawa. And this is just one small little bit with the SNL affair. The bigger picture is massive when you understand there's human trafficking that's going on with these service corporations through the birth certificates, okay, through that trespass. That is the big enchilada, because that also drills right down on the court system and where Norman has had some problems here. So maybe what we should do first is let's just kind of back the truck up a bit. When we were in October and I was talking to you, Norman, you had another man that was helping you. I'm sorry, I forgot his name offhand. Could you talk a little bit more about that man and what has gone on? He was going to be doing an appeal process, I believe, in the legal world. Could you just let everybody know where that's at from last year?
His name is Gary McHale, and he was at the court with me, standing next to me when we were locked out. You mentioned closing doors. Well, the door wasn't closing, it was locked. And he was the man who marched through Caledonia with a Canadian flag and got arrested every day by the OPP. And then he filed private prosecutions against the Attorney General of Ontario and Julia Fantino of the OPP, and he won them both. And he actually has a Supreme Court principle named after him called the McHale Principle. And I figured he's the guy to go with. And what happened was they invoked the McHale Principle and behind locked doors, and they stayed my private prosecution for lack of evidence. Well, there was a lack of evidence because they wouldn't let me present it. It was on the other side of the locked door. We had a lot of evidence, including thumb drives with the phone calls recorded between Privy Council, Gerald Butts, and Jody Wilson-Raybould, then Attorney General of Canada. So it was a blatant obstruction of justice. Then Gary filed with the federal court, and I was the one that physically filed those documents for him. And I did that in Ottawa, and then he got the matter transferred to either Brampton or Hamilton. I'm not sure which court. And I haven't really heard from him again. So
when was the last time you heard from him, Norman?
Last year. Last year.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
That's very, that's a shame. That should not be happening. But
we had a verbal agreement to work together on this matter.
Right.
And it just didn't happen. So I don't know why.
Okay. Well, let's thank you very much for sharing that with everyone and bring everybody up to speed where we're at right now. So where is it sitting right now? Is it just you're not sure where this is at as far as the filing, or it's just?
The last I heard, I tried to look into it, was that they had a meeting in September to arrange scheduling. So that's all I know.
I see.
And
okay.
He hasn't really kept me in the loop.
Okay. Well, let's do this for everybody that's at home. This is absolutely wonderful. We're having this discussion today. Why? Because we're able to show the legal side, okay, and the lawful side. That's the first thing that people need to understand. Legal does not apply to a man or woman or people, okay? Legal only applies to corporations, okay, or persons. And it's that person to refer against once we go back to it. That's that birth certificate that's created when we're born. Remember the service corporation, the same service corporation that locked, okay, Norman out of the courthouse. The reason that they're doing that, it's in a public building, but the courtroom, that the jurisdiction always comes down to jurisdiction. Remember what we talked about? We keep it very simple. The word law stands for the three jurisdictions in this world: land, air, and water. The bar and the lawyers, they operate on the water, admiralty law, maritime law. That's their jurisdiction. It's contract law, okay? They only deal in the world of the dead, okay? When you look at all their filings that you get from the Crown corporations, and either from the CRA right down through any, Crown prosecutor, attorney general, you're going to see that the names of the parties always at the tops of those filings are in all capital letters, okay? You need to understand that. That is the sign that you are in the wrong jurisdiction. Norman didn't know this, okay? Norman's been doing everything he can within the system, but the beauty of what Norman has also done is he's exposing to everybody what this system actually does. And what has happened to Norman has happened, I would say, millions of thousands, hundreds of thousands of times across this country. When you file a private prosecution, again, and you're going through the legal side, the private prosecution system that Norman's gone through is from the Service Corporation, okay, called Ontario. All right, he's using their forms, their legal procedures, whatever their processes, to try and right a wrong that has occurred to not only Norman, but all of us in this country. And you're not going to get any remedy in the legal world. Why? Because it's not a court of law, okay? It's a court of control, really, because remember, in the legal world, he who creates owns and controls. So they created the birth certificates, the Service Corporation Canada. When Norman was filing a private prosecution into their system, as I've outlined right from the Attorney General's website, when a man or woman comes forward, you're not looked at that, and you're going to file a private prosecution. Why that happens in our country is because Norman was left with no other alternative. Okay, this is what happens when the police are not doing their jobs, when these people that are acting as attorney generals aren't doing their jobs, which is 99% of the time. Okay, it's all fraud what they're doing to us. But when this occurs and we the people are seeing that there's injustices or there's wrong or harm that's going on, a trespass, right, something unlawful in our world by other people, especially those that we have entrusted with such incredible honor and duties to protect the property of man. Remember that. That's why all government was created. Justin Trudeau is responsible ultimately for every agent and officer under his control to ensure that the people whom he serves, he's our employee. We are the employers. He is to serve us. And he is never, ever, ever to trespass against us. And he is never, ever to compromise or destroy the property of his fellow man. And that's what's going on right now in this country, right across the spectrum. So Norman was ahead of himself by doing this, and everything happens for a reason. Okay, God bless you, Norman, for what you've done, because by you bringing this out into the light, we're able to share with everybody and show everyone very simply now that you went through a legal proceeding, okay, which was the wrong jurisdiction. It was not a lawful proceeding. And when you go through a legal proceeding, remember, you have no rights and duties, as we're seeing, which is evidence. Isn't that correct, Norman? You've been given no rights, have you? That's right. They lock the door, they block the door. Why? They do it because it's not your court, Norman. Okay? You're going into their court. You're going into the service corporation's court, these crown courts, right? And you're toasting their courts. Why? Because the entire thing is based on fraud. It's all based on that legal person that they create when you're born. And when you walk in and they place that person over you, they say, you're this person. Go look at the filings that you've put in. I'm pretty sure your name's in all capital letters that Gary's done. Or even if he hasn't, it's still in a legal form. So once you've gone into that system, when you learn about the private prosecution, there's a man who's ultimately in charge of all private prosecutions in every province, and that's the man who acts as Attorney General. Remember that, okay? This one man, when a private prosecution comes into the public courthouse, immediately their office is notified. Why? Well, because we have one of the people coming in from outside of their system that are saying, hey, we're going to prosecute somebody here. And all of a sudden our attorney general wants to cover their butt and they want to go look at it and see what this is about. Well, it's not really about them covering their butt. It's actually about them covering up the corruption. And this is what they've been doing from day one. Okay. When people from the community come out, such as Norman, that have a verified, remember, this man is standing there in full liability. All right. He's coming forward with the truth that he's going to stand in open court under oath or affirmation, and he's going to lay the evidence down, which he has against this man, Justin Trudeau. Remember, that's what he is. He's a man, Justin Trudeau. He's nothing else. You don't call him a prime minister. Even his name is irrelevant when you get him into court, because Norman will point across the court and he's not going to say that Justin trespassed against me. No, he's going to say that man trespassed against me, and here's my evidence. But what's happened is Norman's gone through the legal side. And when you go through the legal side, as I've taught everybody and shown everybody through multiple cases, is that you have no control over your claim. Okay, you have unknowingly, you've relinquished jurisdiction, which is control of your claim, and now you're moving as a fiction in their world as a legal person. So what they're able to do is they're able to apply all their codes, rules, and statutes, right, to Norman. But ultimately, what does the Attorney General's office have to do, or the Crown Attorney, the Crown attorneys have ultimately when a man or woman comes forward and tries to attempt a private prosecution? They have control to overtake it, to stay it, just like they did with Norman, right? And they can make up any excuse that they want, okay? Because you're not in the correct court. Had Norman filed the correct paperwork, and this, I'm not knocking what Norman's doing. Remember, Norman is ahead of himself here from everybody else. He actually grabbed the bull by the horns and tried to do a private public prosecution, okay? I've done the private prosecution route myself, but I've tried to do it on the common law side. And the last time I did it, the judge ran from the bench. Why? Because he says, I have no jurisdiction here. That's right, you don't, Jack. But what you do have is you've got duties and obligations, and you are supposed to move my claim, which is my property, through this courthouse. No man or woman at that courthouse, Norman, just so you know, has the right, all right? They don't have any rights. Everyone from Crown attorneys to the front-end staff to the court clerks to the police officer in that public courthouse, those people, when they are acting, have no rights, Norman. Remember that. They have duties and obligations, right? What they're given in their job description. Those duties and obligations do not trump the rights of a man or a woman. See, because you're entering the court in the right capacity now as a man. You're using your own paperwork. You do not use any of their legal forms. Because why? This is the big thing that and actually tonight's a huge night. Everybody needs to, well, I'm probably not going to, I don't know if people are going to see it in time for tonight, but go to my website or go to my YouTube channel. Every Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, one of those days, I do a live stream. Tonight is the final one that's going to nail the coffin home on what? The rules of civil procedure. Okay. Everybody needs simply understand this that I talked about with Amina. Earlier last week, Amina.
What time is it on at? 8 p.m.
8 p.m.
Eastern?
tonight, Eastern Standard
Standard.
Time,
Okay.
8 o'clock tonight. And it's always going to be there for you to go back and watch and download it. I'm telling everyone, download all the videos that you can right now off my website. I was supposed to have been doing a very huge interview next week on Sergeant SGT on YouTube. His channel just got yanked yesterday, 640,000 subscribers. Him and 14 other tops. Again, we won't get into why they've been yanked, but it's huge what's going on because all the truth that's coming out of the corruption with Biden and all them in the United States, I won't go into it, but it's massive. They're showing that SEAL Team 6 was killed, right? That it was done by the Obama administration knowingly from Hillary Clinton and many other people that were in the administration. And this is
Chris, I just did an interview with Major General Paul Vallelene. It's his team that worked on bringing a lot of this to the surface. The Benghazi. So my video's there, my interview's there with the general. Yeah.
I'm going to send people over to you then because
please do.
That's what people need to see right now. The lies are coming out. The truth is coming out in spades right now across the board because the system is done. Okay, this old system that we've all been born into, from justice to through our courts to a monetary system to a healthcare system, it's all toast because the truth is finally coming forward on multiple fronts. The problem is, as what Norman's facing here, is that our voice is not being heard in a public courthouse. Our claims, okay, that's the other thing. Norman filed a complaint, okay? Complaints are filed by lawyers, okay? They're little sissy moves, that's what I call it, because no man or woman files a complaint. They file a claim. A claim trumps a complaint every single time. So the second that Norman goes back and he corrects his paperwork, which hopefully he's going to be able to do in the very near future after my claim is addressed because my 21 days have passed now, Amina.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Surrounding it waiting, which means I can move this claim at any time, but I have to do it at the correct time. Okay. I'm going to be very succinct about it. We need to get more people aware of this. Probably the next 2 weeks, that's when we're going to move it forward with all our ducks in a row. At that point, the main question that's being addressed as in tonight, and this is all that applies to Norman as well. Norman can remove his claim from the court and he should properly refile it as a man moving the Traversy court. Okay. He's in a public courthouse. He's moving his court. He's holding court and he requires a jury of his peers to be seated. Okay. And that's how that's going to work for Norman. What is happening is when people try to access their public courthouses, this is why this is huge. What I'm bringing forward, and I have been bringing forward now very pointedly for the last several weeks. It's down to one question to every man and woman that's out there. And you got to put this question right now to every MP, every MPP, every politician, every police officer that you know. You write to them and you get in their face and you say to them, we the people now know that the rules of civil procedure do not apply to we the people. And they don't. I'll quickly tell you right here, right now, the rules of civil procedure are written. Remember, it's words on a piece of paper. I'm teaching everyone as quickly as I can that words on a piece of paper do not control a man or woman, no matter where it comes from or who writes it, unless what? Unless your name's on it with your wet signature and you've had full consciousness of what was being said in that document, as in a contract. Otherwise, nothing that is being put in front of us, we the people, has ever applied to us, especially from these service corporations, the Government of Ontario, Government of Canada. Right, they're all service corporations. So what Norman's done here, it's absolutely incredible in moving this and bringing this into the light because we're able to show now here in real time that he's been blocked at the courthouse from going in. Why was he blocked? Well, he's blocked because he was unknowingly in the wrong jurisdiction. He was under their control. See, once you file those legal forms into that public courthouse, if you're moving under the rules of civil procedure, well, what does it say? First, you understand what the word civil means, okay? That stands for Roman. Okay, the rules of Roman law. That's what it means. It doesn't mean Norman's going into a public courthouse and we know Norman's going to be civil about what he's doing as he's carried himself from day one honorably in all this fight that he's doing here to bring this truth to the light. Okay, it means Roman law, right? What has Roman law got to do with Canada? Nothing. And that's the first underlying truth you need to understand about that single sentence, the rules of civil procedure. The second thing that you need to understand is that it doesn't apply to we the people, a man or a woman or people. That's the only three things in common law that you're actually going to move under, okay? Persons is a legal term. You never accept that word person. You never use any of their legal documents, affidavits, etc. And that's what's happened, unfortunately, with Norman is that he's used the template from a legal filing to file and move his claim or complaint or whatever is this court under private prosecution. But in doing that and using that form, he's relinquished his jurisdiction control over his claim, not a complaint that he's really making, to these people that are acting for the service corporation. What do you think they're going to do when they're the ones that are hired by the very people that we're going after? They're going to protect them. because it's a ringed fence. They can't let Norman get in there in any capacity in the legal world or the lawful world, just like they're not letting Rocco Galante get in, you know, with his 191-page claim that he's done. Why? Because if they allow that to go forward, even in the system as how it's set up, it's going to expose the bar for the massive corruption that it's involved in. And this is the big thing that we're talking about here today. We don't need to go past the rules of civil procedure. And this is what I hope with all my heart Norman learns here today that is so powerful, because Norman and I are going to talk after this, hopefully tomorrow, for a little bit, and moving forward with him, and so he understands where we all stand in doing this, because this claim that's in Milton right now, Amina, is so powerful. All right, the Attorney General's tried to kick it out twice. This is why we're able to show the yin and yang here, okay? Look what they did to Norman. The honorable man came forward. He has a verified claim which he needs to move forward in front of his fellow man, a trial by jury, not a jury trial, because a jury trial means the man wearing or the woman wearing the black robe have control. You want a common law, you want a court of record moving under the common law. And just so Norman knows, the common law is simply this, Norman. It's no man or woman can trespass against another man or woman and do wrong or harm to them. You've obviously witnessed a trespass that Justin Trudeau has done on multiple fronts with this SNL, whatever it is, S&C filing or whatever, and you have a right to bring that truth into a public courthouse and present that evidence before your fellow man and woman who are a jury of our peers. That's why it's a trial by jury, because it's the 12 members on the jury that are the judges. The man or woman in common law that's wearing the black robes and the court reporter, they sit at the side. They're not sitting up top anymore. They sit off to the side. They're bearing witness. Why? Because it's Norman's court. Norman's moving court. He's acting like a man. This is the problem. Our courthouses are empty because no one is entering them and acting like a man or a woman. We're all being moved over like sheep into this legal world, unbeknownst to us, and then they run wild with it. They shut us down. They lock us down. They impose all these files. They make the court case go on for years, when everybody knows that when a man comes forward with a claim and he lays that before a jury of his peers, that other side better have evidence counter to it right there then on the spot, or they're done. And that's how quick the common law is. There is no appeal process. Okay. I want to say this, which I've never said before on our talks here, Amina, but people need to understand is that the law does not follow process. Okay. And this is what they're doing at our public courthouses. They're cramming all this process in front of us under the rules of civil procedure. And that's what they use to block everybody from moving forward. Process follows the law. Remember that. Okay. So when Norman is coming into that courthouse, that man is bringing in his law, which he knows the difference between right and wrong. That's what the common law is. There's no big fancy words. It's very simple. He understands the trespass of right and wrong, and he's there to correct that right and wrong. And he has a right to bring that truth into that courthouse before his fellow man. And in this case, when you are holding your own court, it's like renting a dance hall, Norman, okay? It's your room when you walk into it. Everybody there is under the jurisdiction of the law. Remember, the control of the Traversy court. Right? And you have to lead the way by doing it. And that's where the part's difficult for people. If they don't know this stuff, it becomes very huge for them to get over. And that's why what I'm doing right now with my claim that went in on September the 12th, that we're able to move right now, they've been trying to kick it out. Right? I had the Attorney General's office write once to it, which I've addressed on my site. And we've got 3 other communications from the lawyers. Again, what are they pointing to and writing to the registrar? Again, the registrar is that man or woman that accepts all those files and claims. They're not part of the bar. This is what you have to understand. They're a public servant, and they're under immense pressure, I know, right now at this Milton courthouse, because they've got all these rogue ones that are coming after them saying, you've got to pull this out of the court system under the rules of civil procedure. But I've written back to them and I've stopped them. Why? Because they've got to produce the obligation. That means contract, which I, a man, Christopher, or Norman, you show me where I'm bound to these rules of civil procedure. Who wrote them? Well, who writes them is the Attorney General. Again, it's a man who acts for a service corporation and a few other flunkies underneath him and a couple of robed ones. It boils down to this simply, how you're able to cut through it when the truth is present. Do any of those people, are they going to come forward in open court and claim that I, or if Norman, or as Amina, are property? That's the first question they're asked. Of course they're not going to claim that we're property. Bingo, you got them right there. Then the second question to nail it home, who could administrate property without right? Nobody can. So what the hell do these people think they're doing with our property, with my claim? They have no standing in this. Do they have any firsthand knowledge? For example, my claim right now that's going after 2 people that are acting as justices, the robed ones, and 8 lawyers, 8 people acting as lawyers. But they're not called lawyers. They're not called defendants. They're not called respondents. They're not called complainants. They're called people. And their name is written right there clearly for everybody to see as I'm entering my court. It's actually the Sukleski court, Michael's. And why I'm able to also prosecute it, just so Norman understands, is that I have firsthand knowledge in this. meaning I was the man that was responsible for all the communications you see in the filing that everybody in this country and world has to download. The filing is really only the top page you got to look at to understand the power of what's about to happen here. The rest of it, the other 6 pages that follow it, it's just the normal communication to the registrar to establish your court in there. But the rest that follows, even though it's 61 pages, that's just evidence showing people how we write to them. So do you want to cut in here, Amina, with any questions or something that I've cut out? But I'm trying to wrap it all together nice and neat for everybody so that they understand the power that we have right here, right now in this moment. This crap is going to end really quickly. It's going to end powerfully. And how it ends is everyone in this country has to understand one question. It's actually 2. The first question's already been answered. I've got it on audio. You walk into any public courthouse, which is a provincial courthouse or a federal courthouse building, we the people pay for. You ask anyone there that's staff, is this a public courthouse? And they're going to say, absolutely. Check. That's off there. Right. Who's the man or woman in this courthouse that can deny me a right to access it and seek the administration of justice? Nobody. Check. Great. Here's my property that I'm laying into this courthouse. I require that it is moved like lightning through this courthouse once the 21 days are done. And nobody is going to trespass upon my case. See, this is why it's put the registrar in a pickle at this Milton courthouse, because when you look at that first page, and hopefully you'll read it, Norman, it addresses the rules of civil procedure, but it also addresses trespassing on the case by any other man or woman that's acting in that public courthouse. They have no standing. They have no jurisdiction control over I as a man or my property, which is my claim. And I have a right to seek the administration of justice and move my claim like lightning through that courthouse after 21 days before a jury of my peers. They are the judges that are around me. And how it works for common law is that the juries that we will assemble, this is how I'm proposing it for Michael, is that it's going to be within a 10-mile, maybe 20-mile radius of both our homes. That's where they're going to get the jury pool from. Why? Because it's called common law for a reason, not common legal. It's that which is common to your fellow man. And I know very well that every man and woman that lives around me in a 10-mile radius, the majority of them, they know the difference between right and wrong. They know that they're not allowed to administrate property without right or trespass against their fellow man. See how simple that is?
Yeah.
And that's what's being brought into the court.
So Christopher, what about, okay, so Norman, he wants to go into the public courts. He wants to take this forward. Does he have to do anything different with his birth certificate before he does this? Does he have to? No. Okay.
No, he doesn't, but yes, he does. The reason when you see in my filing, Norman, why that's there is because you're addressing and you're showing them that who the actual party is that's actually coming into this courthouse, that it's a man or a woman. Okay, it's not the legal person, which they have control over. Remember, they created the birth certificate, the service corporation. So if you come in under that legal person, which they've created, well, they've got control, jurisdiction over you and everything that you do. And no matter how you fight and try and go through all the different processes, filing appeals, and again, with all due respect to Gary, this Gary McHale thing, the Supreme Court of Canada is no different than the Supreme Court of Burger King. Not a damn thing that comes out of their mouth applies to we the people. This is what you got to get. Okay, it applies to all their agents and officers within the service corporation called Canada, or any of their tentacles of this massive crown corporation right across our land. That's what the Supreme Court represents. The Supreme Court, the highest court in this land, is when Norman, the Traversy Court, or the James Court, or, sorry, I don't know your last name, I forgot it. I mean, it'd be your last name.
Motala, yeah.
Motala, sorry, love. It'd be the Motala Court. Those are the highest courts of this land. Why? Because it is from we the people. We the people are the creators. Remember that when we came into this world, we came in as the creators. We're created equal. There's no paper that's attached to us. We went and created government. And that government is to protect the property of man. And that's why this is a wonderful moment right now, because in the next month, the next few weeks here, this is going to rear its ugly head, what's going on at this courthouse. And I need everybody in this country aware of this. That's why they've got to see this, because the second that we get these rules of civil procedure out of the way, Norman's good to go. Norman's then going to go back to that courthouse. He's going to pull that other claim out of it because he's going to realize he's in the wrong jurisdiction, and he's going to file a very powerful, simple claim against the man, Justin Trudeau. And then he will move his court through that courthouse because he will have seen and learned from what's going on with my court proceeding here that they do not block. See, they haven't thrown mine out, Norman. No one's messing with my property. But when you went into a legal auspice, see how they played with you? See how they order you around, lock you around? Because you're nothing in their world. You're a person. A person is a dead entity, and you're accepting, not that you knew that, but you're accepting unknowingly that personage being placed over you in their court system. But now when you come back with your own paperwork that has nothing to do with the legal world, no one's going to touch your property, and no one's going to touch that claim, and it is going to get moved like lightning through that courthouse. That's why this is so huge, okay? Because I'm also going to be filing against Justin and Doug Ford and every man and woman that's acting as Attorney General right across this country. They're all in big trouble. Okay, what is going on right now? This is a war that's going on. And if people saw that communication that got leaked out from the Prime Minister's office, which I believe is fully true with the committee, and that many of people have seen it, that's why Norman's done what he's done. The man was ahead of the case. He was ahead of everybody in this country when what he was doing. I'm surprised that someone in law enforcement didn't step up to the plate and do this, right? Or someone that was in part of the bar. Why have they not come forward and done this? Why have they not realized that even in your own legal world, that there is this massive corruption that's going on as we're laying out here? So if you're going to remain in your legal world, then you damn well, you apply what you say you're going to do with your rules of civil procedure. And they're not doing that, as has been demonstrated with Norman here. So I want to let Norman talk a bit here too, because, you know, I just want Norman to know that I've always been behind you, my friend. I always knew from October, and it was very hard for me to sit back and let this stuff flow out, but I knew that there was a reason for it. I knew that you weren't being harmed in any physical type of way. I knew mentally this is it's very draining on people when you have to take this fight to them. But the draining part of it is because my fellow man simply has not been given the knowledge. Norman isn't an ignorant man. He's not a coward. He's a very brave man. He's not lazy. You know why he's done this is because why he's gone through the legal side is because he was never shown. He was never shown who he truly was as a man or woman and all the power that he holds. And now he's being shown it. All of us were never shown. And that's why I say, that's why the simple truth, you don't have to understand, well, you can understand simply the difference between legal applies to incorporated, lawful applies to man, woman, or people, but we don't have to go past the rules of civil procedure.
It's such a fraud. It is such a complete fraud. Yeah.
It's massive. I had an RCMP officer reach out to me yesterday. God bless them. Okay, it's starting to happen. He says he was floored when it was another interview that I did on another show last week. He was absolutely floored, and this is what I've said. Everyone has been lied to. Okay, where the rubber hits the road is that when you are given this truth, especially if you're in law enforcement there, and I hope people will take this video and you send it to every man and woman in law enforcement, not just the people at the top, they're majorly corrupted, okay? The Brenda Lukey's at the RCMP, the head of the OPP out here, we've got cases right now against these people that are being blocked from going into the courthouses. Why? The rules of civil procedure, that's what they've done. So I've managed to use the Sukleski court, even though it's about an estate case. It doesn't matter. The truth is right in there on the three fronts. It's going to blow the doors off that the rules of civil procedure don't apply to we the people. It's going to blow the doors off that you never use a lawyer. It's going to blow the doors off that all these acts, statutes, codes, rules, and regulations have never applied to we the people. And then a real big one, the CRA. The CRA does not apply to any of the people. The taxation is all, again, based on fraud. And all of that money is going to come back to all of us because it was all taken from us from the central bankers, the three heads that we talked about, the monarch and the pope, who set the system up. So this is the fight that we have before us. And we're able to do it in the legal way. We're able to show everybody this is what the legal system's done. And I thank you so much, Norman, so much for standing up for this country and for this world. I don't know if you realized it, but you're standing up for the world as well too, because this private prosecution exists in other countries as well, in Australia and all the common law countries. It's in all their books, but people don't use it because, one, they weren't aware of it. But now that they're aware of it, hopefully they know that if they're going to do a private prosecution, you do it on the common law side. You don't do it on the legal side. And once you access that courtroom with your property, that courthouse, you don't let anybody trespass against it. It's that simple. So let everybody know we've got to bring these rules of civil procedure have never applied to we the people. And the second that we can gather en masse and get these communications, because they're going to try and kick this out, okay, from the courthouse. As soon as I try to move my court now, they're going to do everything they can to kick it out. And if they kick it out, that's when the wrath of the people of this country has got to come down on these people. It's got to be, you got to get this into every MP, every MPP. This is what I'm telling you. You've got to let them know and not give them a petition. Okay, there's a great thing that got sent to me yesterday that they're actually doing right across this country. They're actually giving notice now. Notice of liability, which is the very thing that is on the first page of the claim of the Sukleski court. That is why you give these people, you don't send them petitions or we are change stuff, right? We're petitioning our public servants. No, no, no. It's gone way beyond that now. You put them on notice. This is as in Nuremberg trial style notices, okay? That if they don't stop exactly what's going on right now with all these lies and these lockdowns that's occurring, every man and woman that's a member or an employee of these service corporations, the NDP, the Liberal Party, the Conservative Party, right? And not Hillary, who's independent, but even if he was independent, he would still be liable to the people if he was acting like these other people are doing. That's why this is powerful now, because these notices are going out en masse and everybody needs to fill out that form. I don't know if you've got it, Amina, but I'll send it to you after the link here where the website is. And
please do. Yeah, I don't have it. That would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And everyone in Canada needs to get on top of it. So That's what I
Well,
wanted to address, Norman. I just want to say I love you, brother, and I'm here for you, and we're coming together. We need to grab everybody that's been around your side that's aware of what's going on you, and you need to push out to them the warrior calls in the Sukleski court right now, because the Sukleski court is going to get done, Norman, for our entire country and our world. It's going to be a huge light. And once that's done, my friend, I will gladly join you when you go toe to toe if there's going to be anything left of Justin Trudeau after my claim gets in. But we are going to do this together. We're going to stop this corruption. And that's why we need to gather, not protest. We need to gather around our public courthouses and hold court and bring this truth honorably out into the light with law enforcement, with first responders, from nurses, doctors, everybody. The single truth that rules the civil procedure opens the door for this truth to finally come into the public venue and into the light. And when that happens, the police, who I love with all my heart, are finally going to have the tools, the capacity to wipe out all this corruption and start arresting all these people in this country and globally.
Yeah, wonderful. That's a great amount of information. Please, Norman, do you have anything else to say or questions to ask?
I'm honored and humbled to be in this position. I feel like Forrest Gump. It's bizarre.
It is.
But I'm never giving up. I'm good at taking advice, so I'll be taking your advice. I take Amina's advice, and this matter will not go away. It's going forward. I've got one question, however, is enforcement. How do we enforce this?
Well, see, this is the beauty of this, is what everyone has seen the problem all along. You have these people that are trying to create either new constitutions in this country, or they're trying to create these assemblies. Their hearts are in the right place, but their head, I won't tell you where that is, okay? It's just because they don't understand the simplicity of this. That public courthouse, Norman, when you access it properly, and you see the jury of your peers with a man or woman that's standing there from the system, the service corporation, which we created government, their duty is to ensure that there's no shenanigans. When they see that you press the record in open court and you bring that evidence forward to a jury of your peers, then Justin Trudeau, he has the right to, and again, he can't bring his lawyers in with him. He's got to walk in there by himself, and he's got to explain his actions. And he can't rely on his codes, rules, or statutes. Like the guy from, it's like the CEO of Burger King or Tim Hortons coming in if you're pulling him in, and he's saying, well, wait a second, my corporation has all these rules, acts, and statutes that allow me in my role. This is what it says in my job description I can do. Oh, really? You want to show me in that job description where it says you can trespass against your fellow man and cause wrong and harm?
Okay, here's a question. If he walks into the courtroom and Justin Trudeau's in the courtroom with him, how does Norman represent himself? Because we don't have lawyers for this. We don't have representation or counsel for this.
That's right. So you said it yourself. You don't represent yourself. You're there representing the truth. You're there bringing forth a trespass that's occurred against you. It's very simple. Whatever that trespass is, you notice it after in square brackets if it's theft, fraud, breach of contract, malfeasance, what we're talking about here that Norman's got with Justin Trudeau. And then you simply say it's caused wrong or harm. The enforcement comes immediately, so I can finish it. Once you present your case to the jury of your peers, and then Justin Trudeau or whoever else the man or woman that you bring in who's trespassed against you does their dog and pony show, the jury deliberates and they come back. And they're going to come back and they're going to say whether the claim that Norman's put forth or whether the claim that I and Michael have put forth in our court is true. And if it is true, then the first thing that has to happen is that man or woman who has claimed the trespass is made whole. So if there's been any, again, for financial stuff on this side for Norman that's cost him, or if there's been any, out of pocket for lawyers, all those sort of things, he is reimbursed immediately from that. Okay. And then the second part is if there was a terrorism side of it, if they've done such a horrific trespass against you that it requires that there is punitive on top, then the jury of our peers will decide what that punitive amount is. Now you can give them what you can lay out to them, obviously all the wrong and harm that's happened to you that would allow the punitive to be awarded. But if it's up to the jury to do that, not for us to decide. And that's where I put my trust and my faith in my fellow man and woman, because they're going to get this quickly when they're in a public courthouse and they're learning what? There's no rules of civil procedure here. It's just a man that's coming forward, not just a man, but a man that's coming forward, and he's laying a truth. He's laying a claim before us here, and we get to decide whether his truth is true or not. There's nothing to confuse it. And that man or woman wearing the robe, he has no jurisdiction or control over that jury. He is supposed to do whatever their final claim out. So ending it, when they come back and they say, yes, the claim that was made by Michael and Christopher in the Sukleski court, or the claim that's going to be made in the Traversy court down the road, if that claim has been found to be true and just, then that's where the order comes down. And they'll decide whether to arrest him there on the spot, whether to incarcerate him, whether to automatically put a fine out for what he's done. Whatever it's going to be, they will decide on in that moment. And if it is serious enough, which it is with Justin Trudeau, with the treason that's being committed here, that also his father did to this country, okay, that's when it gets real serious. We see the grand jury of 25 people. Okay. And that's when we're talking. I mean, if the people see that there's been enough, like, especially with this COVID stuff, the Nuremberg trial style courtrooms that we're all moving under common law, so people understand the Nuremberg trials, when they happened over in Europe, is that they had a problem at the time when that was going on. You had all these different countries with all these different people that had all this horrific things that happened to them. So the question was, oh, if we're going to do this global court thing to hold these people accountable, what jurisdiction are we going to use? Remember, the lawyers all operate in the sea. And then you got, on top of that, they're all in different countries. Everyone's got different countries. There's different legal laws in Britain and in Germany and in Poland and in France than there is in Canada and the United States. Even though they're kind of similar, there are very different similarities. So what did they have to do? This is something people don't know about the Nuremberg trials. They were actually common law courts. That's what they held, because then it didn't allow any of those, those rules to really come in from other countries and procedures, and they kind of went with it in a very organic and open style way. And that is what is required, because the second that we have our courthouses restored, it's game on. You're going to see millions of people, I think, just like Norman and myself, they're going to come forward and they're going to be moving claims against these people. But the big one right now, we have to stop the COVID-19. We got to restore the court. And once that is brought out into the light that the rules of civil procedure do not apply to we the people, that is going to go like lightning around this world. Australia is waiting for this to happen. The United States is waiting for it to happen. I was supposed to have been on SGTV last week, and he's got canned.
I know.
Right? He just got pulled down. So this is very serious. They're taking down, and they're going to take me off YouTube as well. That's why everyone has to subscribe at my website so that we can connect. Oh, and I quickly just want to say, sorry, but Jesse Casanova, who I've been working with diligently for the last few years, his application is almost finished. It's off the charts when he brings this out. This is going to be the board to help the people of the world stay connected when they start to pull the internet down. It's absolutely incredible. And wait till you see the production. He's just done the first one now for our world. It's going to be the biggest red pill, I guess you could say, documentary that people are going to see, short and powerful. And then we're going to hit the world with the trilogy that exposes all this court from trespass right to the rules of civil procedure. Very short, very powerfully, in like 5 or 7 minutes. And then it's game on, people. Then you're going to see the interview I did with Judy Mikovits, which I hope Norman will watch. It's explosive, right?
Fantastic. You have
I've had it since July, and I haven't brought it forth. Why? Because I know what I'm sitting on. Just like this rules of civil procedure, it's the only thing, the only conversation our entire country needs to have right now. Because as soon as we get that truth out into the open, the bar, as I said, is pushed away at our public courthouse, and it's game on for Norman, it's game on for Christopher, it's game on for all of us. So please, everybody hearing this, you've got to understand, we are under attack right now. We are under a state of emergency in this country and around this world. And it's all being created by these central bankers. As I've been saying from my earlier transmissions back in February, I knew who was doing this all along, as those of us that are on the forefront of this. And I always knew that the solution was the common law. That's why my train for this left, as I talked to Norman last August. That's when I began to move this train forward, which was supposed to be for this summer to surround the courthouses without knowing that this COVID was coming. And then look when the COVID happened. It was perfect timing. And everything happens in this world for a reason. I've learned that my Creator is guiding us and leading us forward. And even in the most difficult times, when you see something is wrong and harm that's occurring, there is still a light there. And you've got to recognize and learn to understand where that light is. So as soon as Norman knows in his heart, his mind, and his soul, the simple truth of what we've talked about here today, that the rules of civil procedure don't apply to him, he's going to be a bear at that courthouse. No one is going to get around him. And that's why I say, all you have to do is watch my 7 or 8, whatever it is now, live streams that began on August the 6th after the 4 foundational videos, and everybody in this country, in this world, will be up to speed very quickly and understand the simplicity of moving forward and supporting Norman, supporting myself, and everybody else that's trying to bring truth into the light.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to check those out, aren't we, Norman?
Yes, indeed. Yes, we are.
Yeah. Okay, so let's wrap this up, guys. Norman, please, anything else you want to add or say, or any more questions? Are we good?
I'm still processing all this.
Yeah.
So,
well, you two will have the opportunity to talk tomorrow, and I think that'll be fantastic and taking this forward. So definitely have that discussion. And again, check out the interview I did with the general. This is about Benghazi, and it's a key behind a lot of the things going on in the world. And it's really important maybe to go check that out, and the audio files that I loaded too around the conversations with the whistleblower. So, and of course, get to Christopher James' website, awarriorcalls.com. .com or .ca?
Yep,
I'm sorry.
.com.
.com.
Definitely, yeah, definitely download the filings. Once you get into the website after you subscribe on the main page, once you're in the site, look under the case file tab, okay? You're going to see there's 3 numbers there. I haven't put all the information up yet, but you're going to see the filing, Norman, especially for you. Download the Maneri case file, which is number 1. It's there for you in a PDF, and then download the second case file, which is the Sekleski court, the current one that got filed on September 12th. You read that, my friend. You read that first page over and over and over and over again. Everybody, the notice of liability. That's all you've got to get in your head to understand what is going in that courthouse and how you stand up for yourself when you go back to it. It's all on that first page. And unless they come forward and bring a contract forward, or ultimately the man who wrote the rules of civil procedure has got to come into open court, Norman, and he's got to point to all of us here in this world, the people, and say, you're my property. Because he doesn't have a contract with me. And the only other way that those rules of civil procedure, which he created, remember, he who creates, owns, and controls, well, he doesn't control the people with that, but it's being used to control the people through our ignorance. And now the gig's up. Everyone in this country and world needs to understand this is how simple it is. The rules of civil procedure have never applied to us. This is what the bar, these members have been using against us. And those of you that are in the bar that are hearing this, you better tear up your bar cards really quick. Can get on your knees and start groveling for forgiveness from the people, because the world is about to find out of this enormous corruption that you've been carrying against all of us for a very long time. And I've already got people at my end that were bar members who have tore their cards up, just so everybody knows. It is happening. But we have to bring this truth out into the light. And I love you, Norman, and I love you, Amina, for all you're doing as well.
Thank you.
Love you too.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, both of
Thank
you.
you. Wow.
Okay, well, thank you both for being here. Let's get this out there, get the information. Let's share it. Everybody, please share it and like and subscribe. It's really important. It's not just about me when you're doing that. It's getting information out there and spreading good information in times like this right now. So thank you both for being here. And Christopher, we'll see you again for part 3 on our course in common law, or part. Well, okay, yes, this is part 3. So part 4. Excellent.
That's terrific. Thanks so
Okay.
much.
Thank you, everybody.
Amina.
Thanks,
Thank
Norman.
you, Norman. Thank you very much, Chris.
You're more than welcome, my friend. You're my brother. I love you, and I love every man and woman in this country. Our time has finally come. Do not let this fear get control of you. You know what takes out fear is knowledge, and I just happen to be filled with it, and not filled with something else. A lot of BS that's out there, but it's all truth that I bring forward, and I stand behind every single word that comes out of my mouth. Please know that.
And you know that I have no fear.
Yes.
I don't.
Yep.
So, I mean, I want to leave this world a little better off than when I came into it. And this is for my, hopefully, grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So, yeah, I'm on a mission.
Ditto. We're here together, guys. Okay.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.